And what's going on YouTube? This is your boy Dro Fontaine, the Dro Fontaine Music, and I'm back on Maschine 1.7. Just gonna go over a couple of quick tips, and I'm just gonna go over some of the basics on Maschine. I've been getting a lot of emails for people who've been, basically getting Maschine. And I haven't, done a video on Maschine in a real long time. It's been a while since I hadn't really been on it really too much. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the basics. Right, towards the top area of Maschine, this right here is known as the header. Okay. Now to the left of that, where it says disk, this area right here is known as the browser area. You notice that the 1.7 update, the disk and library tabs have been merged for those who don't know about that. Back towards the top again, this area over here, this is known as the arranger. This is where you can set your beats per minute, your scenes, and set your sequences and things of that nature. Okay. Towards the center of the screen here, this area right here is called the control area. And back towards the bottom, if I was on the step, this right here down, this is called the pattern editor area, and we'll get into some of that in a minute. Now taking a look over here in the file browser area, if you have complete and stuff like that, it makes it easier to browse through complete, but not all of us have complete. But this area right here, this is basically your browser mode selector. This area over here is basically your file type selector. Down here, these are called tag filters. Down here is your text search field, where if you type in anything, if you look for a certain sound, the results will basically come up down here. This is called the search result list. Okay. For example, let's say if I went over like this and I went inside my computer and there was a sound that I wanted to bring in, let's say like this bass blower sound right here. There's an import icon that appears down here. You can preview the sound here. I press import. Now the tag filters come up like so. Like I said, I haven't been in here in a while, so I'll just make a new one. I'll put bass. I'll just write bass like that, and type. I don't know. I'll put what subtype. I can use this wave file. Then press OK to apply to attributes, and it's basically there. So you go back over here, and let's see. It should be the first. Well, close to the first one. Right here where it says bass, that's where it just got dropped in. It's by itself because that's the only bass sound that I have there right now. Because like I said, I've been on Maschine in a minute, and it's showing the type is sub, and the subtype is wave. Like if I was to go over here in the MPC, you see some of the MPC sounds or Soul Kit. This is the user bank. Basically, this is where any of your song. Let me switch that back over. This is actually a user bank right here. And this is basically where your sessions and stuff get saved. Like when you're done tracking a track, or basically whatever you're doing, anything really, it gets thrown in here. You give it another click, and you can go through your sound, such as this VIP HD kit that I have right here. So over here in this this area over here is known as the pattern editor. Okay. I can take any sound here and just basically drag it onto the sounds here. Okay, so this tab right here is known as the step editor. Okay, towards the middle, this one is known as the piano roll, and down here, this little wave looking one, this one is known as the sampling view. So we'll get into those in a minute. So let's say for example, well, I don't want to fly too much. Let's go back towards the top. Let's go back to the arranger right quick. I don't want to go through this too quickly. This right here is basically where you'll find your your play mode control. Okay, this little area right here is known as your groups or your group slots. You can double click them and you can name them like that. Okay, and over here, this is basically your clip area. Okay. So this right here is what's known as the arranger timeline. Like anytime, or rather anything that you sequence out down here, this is how you get your sequences to play in order, like that. You can double click up here and rename, or name your scenes. These are your scenes. Your scenes are arranged in columns, like so. Okay. Let's go ahead and get into let's go back to sounds. Let's go back down to back on my drum key here. Let's actually get back down to here so we can actually take a look at your wave files. Right here is your wave files where they can be edited. Okay, on this tab right here, you have a start and you have an end icon right here. This is basically, oops, sorry about that. This is basically where if you want to fine tune and adjust your chops, you can move this and, you know, get everything perfect. This one right here is called the start marker, and back here you have an end marker. And these start and end markers is basically how you're gonna get your wave files or whatever you have in there fine tuned a little bit better. So you got 3 tabs. You have an edit tab, you have a slice tab, as well as a map tab. The map tab is when you want to map out longer samples, and I'll get to that in a minute. You have a zooming tool right here that if you want to zoom in like this little magnifying glass, you know, you have another one down here. You have 2 of them actually. So basically whatever works best for you. You also have a length menu right here if you want to truncate a sound, normalize it, reverse it. Anything that you need to do to manipulate sound is basically going to be found there. Okay. So let's take a look at a sample. For example, right here on sound 15, I have a sample that's actually loaded in here. And let me go ahead and bring this back. Like so. You notice that the sample has like little spaces in between just every now and then. And I did it on purpose like that inside Ableton Live because I took my sample, I put it inside Ableton Live, and I add little spaces just so the detect mode would detect it a little bit easier. But that's something I'll get into a little bit later. You know, for someone who's new, this is the detect mode. You see you have a percentage right here. You can make it more sensitive, you can make it less sensitive. I mean, whatever basically is more comfortable with you, because there's 3 different modes. Grid really slices it up, man. Like, if you got it on 4th notes, it seems to be a little bit easier to work with. Like, you know, if you're really that intricate, and then you get like 8ths and 16ths. But for me, what personally works best for me is split mode. And you have this little icon here where you can, you know, you hold it down. And like the longer you hold it, it plays the sample out in its entirety. Or if you just tap it, see, I'm just tapping that. Or if I was over here. You know, the longer you hold that button, the longer the sample plays out. So you can go 4ths, 8ths, 16ths to 32s, and 16ths to look like that, you know, if you want to be a little more intricate. But in this particular sample, I left it at 8ths, or 8 slices, I should say. These are actually the number of the slices. That's a better way I should say it. Now, down in here, you can remove slices, or you can add slices, okay? And you basically want to get your slices down first. That's the first step you want to do to slicing up the sample. Get it down. For example, if there's any extra garbage on the sample, you would just truncate it off, you know, and just basically get off what you don't need first. Then work with the area that you want to loop, you want to sample, okay? Once you get that part done, you might want to play around with it a little bit. You might want to say, okay, well, how do I want to disguise my sample? That's the way I do my samples. Like, you know, before I tune them up, you know, in this control area up here on your machine controller, there's gonna be like little pitch and tunes and stuff like that. If you want to tune it up, you know, I try to disguise my samples. For example, if I was playing this sample, I'll be like, well, you know, something like that. I'm just doing it really quick. You know, it's just for demo. I'm not really trying to really get in it too much. But that gives you an idea how you can slice them up. Because what happens next, like once you get your samples, or rather your chops the way that you want them, you're not done yet. Because what you need to do next is you need to go over here to apply. Okay, you click apply, like so. Okay, now back over here on the piano roll, you see that the samples get mapped out like this. So if you're over here on the grid and you're like, you're gonna start playing your samples like over your beat, and then you're gonna like hear like extra sample sounds. You're gonna be like, yo, what the heck's going on? That's because over here in the piano roll, they're mapped out. So what you wanna do is you wanna come down here and erase these mappings first before you do anything. So that's the first thing you do, man. So once you see these here, you know to erase them. Just take them off. Like so, clean slate. Because what happens is, let me see if I can shrink this down a little bit more. Okay, that's better. And let's say we just zoom this in a little more. Well, yeah, well, this zoom icon right here is where you can get like a better view on your workspace. But these little guys down here, see, like you can tell how that's lighting up. You know, you gotta forgive me. This is kind of hard because I'm just using the mouse right here. If I had my machine controller on right now, it'd be a lot easier. And you would just use your pads. Your pads will light up, and then when you're recording up here, you know, after you set your swing or however you want to do it, they're gonna get mapped out on here, and it makes it really easy on this piano roll because you can really get intricate in your chops and your slices and really make some really bugged out patterns, man. Like you can really get really intricate, you know. And then once you're up here, you know, if you wanted to, you know, rearrange scenes and stuff like that, you have that option. Like on the grid mode, there's like 16 tabs right here, but that's not all of them. There's like way more tabs. I forget how many it is. It's like over 100 and something different tabs, man. I forget. I haven't been on here so long, but like the 17th tab will start right here, and then it'll go up to like 30 something. Then it'll start like 30 something right here. So let's say if you're on this tab right here and you have a scene or a pattern, say something, you know, I'm just doing this real quick. This doesn't make any sense, but like that, you would go on this tab right here and you would press Control D, which basically duplicates that tab. You see this tab light up. Then you jump over here. Now you're on tab 2. It looks exactly the same, but it's not, because if you look up here, it's not the same. See, it's 1, then 2. So on the second tab, you know, you're basically changing it. So if I want to take, say, this off, you know, take this off, whatever, now there's a difference. You see what I mean? So when you set your sequencer like this, if you got this one set to 2, when this plays out, when it gets right here, when it says verse right here, it's going to change up. So that's very important. You know, that'll keep you from getting confused on that. Over here where it says file, you can export your audio. You can export MIDI notes. For example, you have a little setting down here where it says pattern drag mode. This is audio. So the little dragger icon's right here. So if you hold this down, you can drag your audio directly to your desktop or to a host DAW if you got it opened as a VST. You know, basically whatever you want to do. And there's different modes. Like if you right click on your sound, such as pad link, like for example, how this says pad group 1, if I put this on pad group 2, then I go over here and I do the same thing. I put this on pad group 2. Now when you hit one sound, like one pad on your machine controller, both of these drums are going to chirp off at the same time. So that's a great way if you want to layer your kicks like really fast and easy, kind of how an MPC would. And then it's not just for that. Like if you have a synth here, like say like a V station or I don't know, UVI, you know, basically whatever instrument that you're comfortable with, you can like layer your synths like that. Like if, let's say if I was over here, let me just grab a sound, put it back on edit. Let's say for example, I go over here to map and we shrink this down. Each sound can hold more than just one sound. Or if you want to call them pads, you know, think of it as a, I don't know, a storage bin, I don't know what to call it, but a container. Like you can take like different sounds and drag them in, see? And start bringing in different sounds. Like you can hold multiple sounds on one pad and trigger them off by mapping them. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that right now. That's something that I don't want, you know, I'm just going to stick with the sampling right now. I don't want to get too, you know, way off subject on that. Let's get back down here. Okay, so let's go back to the grid. We'll open up the control area a little bit easier. Now over here in the control area, you have 4 tabs. You can put 4 plugins or 4 effects per sound. That's per sound, not just for the whole group. That's per sound. So let's say, for example, where it says chamber kick right here, if I wanted to beef that up, let's say if I went over here on this tab and I say, okay, grab my plugin, and let's say, you notice it aligns your plugins in alphabetical order from A to Z. Okay, so let's say, I don't know, I want to maybe play with their harmonics in a little bit. Let's say if I put a little tape plugin on it like this. It comes up and it shows up over here. See, and that right here is your mappings. So your mappings show up on your hardware controller a little bit different, but actually I think on a hardware controller it's a lot more intricate than it is on the software side. The software side here is less detailed as the hardware controller would be. I think you have more control on the hardware. Okay, and this basically right here is how you bring your plugins up. By tapping this little area up here is where your plugins would come up, and you can hit this little rewind button right here, like so. It started playing that, like so, and that's a little stop button. Let's go ahead and take this off. If you need to take it off, you just do the same thing. You bring it back up, you press none. And like I say, that sound wasn't making any sense right there because I just threw that in there. Let's go ahead and get that off of there. All right, so basically, yeah, right here, whatever you want. Maschine has built-in plugins right here, but you also have these as well. Okay, so if I say, well, I want to use my H-comp compressor, I know exactly where it's at because it's in alphabetical order, and I know it's going to come up, in a timely manner or whatever. Take that off, then you have, your preset options and stuff like that. So that's basically how that area works. Over here, again, under File, let's say if I was going under Preferences, this basically is your preference dialog box. On my input channel for my Midi, I have it on Omni. That way I know for sure I'm getting like every Midi note there is from any external device. User paths, for example, anything that gets tagged and filtered, it shows up here. Okay, it shows where it's at in my computer, and it names it. You can add or you can remove files. You can rescan them. Library, that's just basically the factory library that comes with Maschine. Your plugins. Oh, yeah, this is the plugins. When I was bringing my plugins up, this is where you put your plugins under your locations. Where it says locate locations, you press add. It goes inside your computer. Wherever your plugins is inside your hard drive, you put it here and you press rescan. Give it a minute, it'll scan them. Okay, then when you jump over here under your manager, you notice all your plugins, they show up in here like so. You can clear them, you can take them off, whatever you want to do. Then this icon right here where it says scan and startup, you can take that off. So next time Maschine loads up, it loads up a lot quicker because it doesn't load up all its plugins. And you also have a 64-bit tab right here where you can pull up other plugins and stuff like that. So that's basically how you do that. Under your hardware tab, I don't have the Maschine controller on right now, but the display settings would be here. And you can control the brightness, I believe, on each screen, the left screen and the right screen, same with contrast. The velocity scaling, you can set that so how hard or how soft you hit your pads, you can set that. Sensitivity, you can adjust the sensitivity to the pads. And I think when the Maschine controller's on, I think there's more things that you can do here that's not showing up. I believe some of it's left all blank there. I think there's more. You'll see it when you turn this on. And you also can set your defaults, like, for example, where it says template project. Right here, notice mine says Maschine projects new template. It won't look like yours. Yours is just say projects template. You can select this folder right here, and you can take a saved bank, like a saved user bank, for example. And well, I can't pull it up right now because I have the screen open. But for right here, like this is Maschine tips. So this right here is really saying Maschine tips. So whenever I turn on my Maschine, instead of having just a bunch of blank pads right here or no EQs or something up or whatever, you can have a template that's set, so then that way you don't have to come back each and every time and load your pattern lengths and all that stuff there. If you want to set a default plugin, you have that option here. Right here is the input quantize. I leave mine on play and record. I believe it defaults to none. Yeah, so I do it like that. And what else? Over here, you can sync to an external MIDI clock. You can send a MIDI clock. Your audio and MIDI preferences is just for, if you're going to be if you have your MIDI controller on, you'll see like the name of your MIDI controller in there. I have a previous tutorial on that. You can take a look at that, and you know, you can make sure that that's on, and you can go into your sound card. You can switch between sound cards, set your sample rate, set the bit depth. You know, if you're routing to an external device, for example, let's go over here. If I'm on sound, again, right here is how you set your polyphony. If you want to choke certain sounds off, you put them in the same choke group. Okay, so let's say if I was going to out, and I'm in this group, which is group B. You see right here it's saying VIP HD drums. Let's say if I wanted to take, you know, if I didn't want to drag and drop it, there's a different mode, like where it says audio. You can also do MIDI as well. If you're going to do MIDI, make sure you have the MIDI selected here, and over here in your sound MIDI batch setup, make sure that you have that set to sound to MIDI notes. If you're going to use Maschine as a sound module, have it set to sound to MIDI channels, and you can do it that way. Like, let's say sound 1 would be out 1. If I can get a thing out 1. Alright, in rec 2, this would be out 2. And this one would be out 3. And this one would be out 4. So on and so on. And you have individual control of your levels, panning, you have aux outs. If you're doing effects, like Maschine has built-in effects that I mentioned earlier, like right here, like the built-in effects, you can set up chains of effects that you can take this effect and then route it into this effect and then route it into this effect, and so on and so on, and just really make one gigantic monster effect. You know, and that's some of the cool things about Maschine, man. You also have your little groove icon here where you can set the swing, and there's let's see, let's go back. Well, I don't have to put this back. We don't have to worry about that. It's just for demo. But that's how you get your sound routed out of Maschine. So yeah, man, that's pretty much the basics of Maschine. Down here you have this icon here, like if you don't want to have this velocity tab showing up, you can take that off. Or if you want to add certain elements, for example, your premix, your pitch bend, your mod wheel. Over here under sampler, this is where if you want to set your velocity destination to start decay on your mod wheel, you basically can get everything set up over in here, and then it labels it in little sections like voice settings and pitch, gate, effects, and things of that nature. So if you really want to get intricate, you know, you have that. You also have a paint icon right here. If you highlight that, that's where if you want to paint your automation in. Down here's your quantization. If you want to set it from 1 bar all the way to 64 triplets, you can turn that on or off. Okay. And on your Maschine control, you can hit shift and quantize. You can do it by 50% or normal 100%. Yeah, man. So that's pretty much basically covering the basics of Maschine. You know, I don't want to get too in-depth into it because, you know, a lot of times, you know, if I get to talking too much, we'll get like really far off subject, and we really don't want to do that right now. So alright, so this is your boy Dro Fontaine of Dro Fontaine Music. Be sure to check me out on my webpage, which is www.digitalmusic.yolasite.com. I have a VIP membership available that's only $9.99, which gives you a lifetime subscription. No monthly fees. I repeat, no monthly fees. You can come on the website and have unlimited downloads, whether it's 2, 3, 4, 8, 9 drum kits. You can download them all in one day if you like, all for free. You know, I like free stuff, so becoming a member of Dro Fontaine Music is a really great way to get a lot of free stuff. And I update the database monthly with new content, such as custom Reason kits, custom Maschine kits, custom, like basically whatever you need, really. I have Sonar X1, I also have Fruit Loops 10. I haven't really had time, you know, because I do a lot of running around, you know, mixing and stuff like that, and making beats for people and stuff like that. So I really haven't had time to push the tutorial videos out the way that I really would like to. But you guys can do me a favor. I mean, down at the bottom of the screen, if you guys want to hit the thumbs up button for me and let me know that you're feeling these tutorial videos, you know, I don't mind being a free source of open information, because I don't charge for tutorial videos. I just feel information should be an open source, and it should be free and available to anyone at any time, because you know, you never know what's going on with someone, you know. So that's my personal opinion. The only thing I charge for is like services like drum kits, beats, mastering. I have a mastering service, stuff like that. I work hard at my drum kit. Some of my charge like 10, 15 bucks for it. So being a VIP member is a great way to get a lot of free stuff. It's only $9.99. It's a one-time fee, and that's it. So that's pretty much it, man. It's your boy Dro Fontaine of Dro Fontaine Music, just going over the basics of Maschine. And again, we cover areas such as chopping and slicing, editing, truncating. We showed you how to put your sounds, tagging, filtering. We went over the little browser area here. We went over the control region here, the arranger, how you can set your scenes. We went over groups. Yeah, man, that's pretty much basically it. So I will see you guys on the next one, and you guys have a great day. Peace.